Since its launch in 2005, Broad Street Review has sought to promote the exchange of viewpoints rather than any particular point of view. To that end, we welcome commentary from professionals and amateurs alike about the performing and visual arts, as well as any other field of interest to our eclectic group of contributors. The following interview was submitted to Broad Street Review, powered by Rep Radio.
Yeah.
We'll do it here. So today I'm here with Erlina Ortiz.
Hello.
Erlina, welcome to Rep Radio. I didn't know you up until a few weeks ago, and now I want to know you.
Yeah.
So welcome to Rep Radio. I'm glad to have you here, and we have a few things we want to talk about, but keep cash. I hope some people out there already know you, but if not, they're going to become fans of you soon.
Oh,
so.
Thank you. I'm so excited to
Thanks for
be
coming
here.
to Rep Radio Studio B today.
It's lovely.
So tell me about yourself. Tell me about who's Erlina.
Oh my goodness. Erlina is an artist trying to make it by. I think my signature on my email says something like playwright, director, performer, babysitter extraordinaire.
Yes.
And I did that recently because I was like, I don't know. It's so hard sometimes to figure out how to define myself. And, for so long, I was just actor, and I really love acting. And I'm doing some acting again now, which I'm really excited about. But
You're a Jane of all trades.
I wear many
trades.
different hats. I think that for me, I just kind of like to experiment with all different types of ways of creating theater, and whether or not I'm behind the scenes or writing or on stage, I just love all aspects of it, and I get bored doing just one thing. I think that's part of it too.
Me too. My background is in stage management. I've been on stage, but I'm much better micromanaging backstage.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a control freak.
I did a lot of stage managing when I was in college, and I enjoyed it. Like, I remember thinking, this is I'm very much a control freak as well.
Yeah.
So I remember thinking like stage management, but there wasn't enough creativity in it for me. So I felt like I needed, just to keep doing other things. But,
what's so great about our community is that we can wear many hats.
Yeah.
And even though you'll find the one that is your primary focus, you can still dip into all the other ones because there's so many. Yeah. There's opportunity.
There's no sense also that if you're only doing one thing, then we can't take you seriously in something else.
Yeah.
And I don't know anyone in the community who only does one thing. Even people who are primarily acting, they're still creating on the side, or they're still whatever else that they're doing with
many
their
times someone tries to ask me what I do, and I'm say, well, I'm a theater artist.
Yeah.
I'm also a producer. I'm a podcast promoter. I run a theater company. I'm trying to figure out the one that sort of encompasses them all. I'm a theater artist.
Theater artist.
We are theater artists.
Yeah. I saw someone had a business card, and it was said their name, their number, their email, and then underneath what they are, it said human.
Human.
Yeah. And I was like, that's solid. Maybe I should just do that.
How do
with
I
my
get that
business cards.
job? Job is
human. Just a human doing my thing as a human. That's all.
So you graduated from Temple University?
Yes. Yeah.
And when you were there, did you think that you would pursue playwriting? Was it an interest then, or how did you evolve into it?
Well, I feel like I've always been a writer, and I have memories of being very little and writing short stories and writing poetry. I wrote a novel when I was 14, which still exists somewhere on some file.
Nice.
But no, I don't think that I really thought, playwriting, that's what I'm going to do. I did take a playwriting class when I was in college, which was taught by Seth Bauer. And I mean, I found some of the scenes and stuff I wrote from then, and some of them are god awful, but there were some where I was reading them and I was like, hey, Erlina, good job. That sounds good. And I don't know, I just enjoyed it. I really remember thinking maybe this is something I keep on the back burner, depending on how things go.
Yeah.
But then what ended up happening was that sort of like pushed me forward into this whole playwriting thing. Right before Power Street was that I was in a sorority in college, Lambda Theta Alpha Latin Sorority Incorporated.
Okay.
And the year that I was president, I really wanted to do a performance. Like I wanted it as a show because some of the things that we do in the sorority is like programming, bringing attention to different things. Our philanthropy was domestic violence. And so we'd have all these different resources we could apply for funding through the school to do things. So I was like, I'm going to apply for funding and I'm going to write and direct a show and do it through the sorority.
Great.
And it ended up working out. The show was called Las Mujeres, which means the women, and it was all about like famous women, Latina women from throughout history, and like their ghosts basically coming together for a dinner party, kind of like Top Girls. It was like inspired by Top Girls a little bit.
Okay.
That's Carol Churchill's play. But anyway, from there I was like, this was fun. Producing was fun. Playwriting was fun. Directing was fun. I got to keep doing this. Yeah. And then Power Street came in after that. So.
Great. Well, as involved as producing can be, I do enjoy that the most.
Yeah.
Bringing all of those pieces to the table in some cohesion and seeing it all work together is such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, my Gabriela Sanchez, who's the actual founder of Power Street, she's an amazing producer. And she does everything. I mean, she's an amazing actor as well and amazing at a million things. But she definitely discovered that she was a producer with, like, the passion for Power Street. And she's, I mean, I can see sometimes that she feels like she's probably going to, like, lose her mind because of it. But I guess at the end of the day, it's really worth it to see all these different pieces, like, a year in advance before a project come together. It's really awesome.
Yeah. So what inspires you to write? I mean, where do you get your ideas from?
Well, I feel like whenever I get an idea to write something, to me, I think like something that really matters or something that really is going to educate people in an entertaining way about current social issues and different things like that, which it's sort of bred in from Power Street's mission, Yeah. So I came in with Power Street's mission of diversity and multiculturalism and community engagement and all that, which was part of Power Street's mission, and already feeling in my heart like, I'm not just going to go write a play about, Bob and Sally at the dinner table, like dealing with divorce or something, which is, whatever, that's like an important topic. But for me, I just felt like I wanted to write about what I saw happening around me or the things that affected my community or the community of those I loved.
Yeah.
And those stories that really matter or that don't get as much traction or people don't get to see or learn about different characters that aren't just, regular run-of-the-mill.
So tell me about the first piece that you wrote. That was with the sorority?
Yeah, Las Mujeres.
Mujeres.
Which I'm planning on revamping at some point, because it was only like a 30-minute one act then. But I really want to do like a full-length version of it. I've started working on that recently. And hopefully for 2017, I want to possibly I am doing a reading of it already. So I forgot to finish writing it at some point. But we got a grant to do a couple readings through Power Street. So my play, Las Mujeres, is one of those. But yeah, so we'll see.
How long did it take you to write your first play?
Gosh, that one I don't remember. I think probably maybe like 3 or 4 months. It was, like I said, it was a one act. It was only like 30 minutes, and it was all under a lot of pressure. And then Minority Land, which was like my first full length play that I ever wrote. That one was, I can't believe that I wrote that as fast as I did, because it was, I only decided I was going to write it like 3 months before we were supposed to do it. Thankfully, the great part about that process was that it wasn't just me writing with Minority Land. There was a lot of improv involved with the actors.
Okay.
So, it's like, I tell them, okay, you're Mama Julia, you're Otis, and this is happening, and now go. And then I would record it and take notes and then go home that night and write the scene. So it was a little bit more collaborative and made it easier to, generate material.
My first play was set in a coffee house.
Oh, nice.
And it's called Sidewalk Cafe, and it was kind of like that. It was saying, I'm going to loosely write around these performances of the characters.
Yeah, it's great, though. You really generate great material like that.
But when I thought about it, I was just like, there was part of me that was like, I just have to get this out. Like, it's an open mic. Their pieces aren't going to be perfect. So let's just find the ones that were suitable in my many books and just... I'll attach them to these voices, but it's the story in between that was the most important. So that was my focus on that, and it was just a way to say, okay, so I wrote it.
Yeah.
Now I can write something else.
Yeah. Sometimes I think about like the material that's lost from those processes.
Yeah.
Because you come up with so much stuff, and only so much can actually make it into the play. I wish that I could find this was before we even figured out how to use like Google Drive and all that stuff. Now everything exists on Google Drive.
I know. I have way too many folders of like starts and
yeah. I wish I could find like some of the scenes that never made it into the play from then. I can only imagine like what they were about or like what they would inform now that we know what the play is really about. But
yeah. So we caught wind that you were selected as an Amtrak artist resident.
Yeah.
And that's pretty awesome because I do remember when that conversation started out as a tweet on Amtrak.
Yeah.
It said something about they always get so much joy out of writing while they're on the train. And
then they created it.
They created it. And I think that's such a great thing because quite often I'll take a trip up to New York and I take the long route. Like I take SEPTA to Trenton and then Northeast Corridor up there.
Oh, nice.
Because it's a long ride, but there's so much going on. Like I have this one play I wrote that was like there's a handful of stops that are like the most poignant stops, like the notable stops. Hamilton, of course, And there's a handful of those. And I said, what if I just wrote a story about like characters who get on the train at these particular stops, or what if I write it from the perspective of the conductor? Because the conductor walks in and out of these stories.
Amtrak Residency and
I know, yeah. So I always get ideas when I'm on there, and also just there's something about looking out the window, watching the world go by, that just clears your mind, and then you're like, and then you have to pull something out. So thank God for all this technology. I can pull out my notes app and at least get the idea out of my head. And sometimes I can flesh out like a full, sort of synopses of what it would entail, and then
or like the feelings, right? Like sometimes it's not even that you know exactly what it's going to be about, but you know what it feels like.
But I say if I go back to that, I'm going to bring back all those feels, and then I can develop it. That's my thought.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I honestly I have never really been on a long train ride like that.
Yeah.
I used to work I was working in Delaware this year, so I was taking the Wilmington train out, which was like 40 minutes, so it wasn't even that long. But I did remember feeling like there's this relaxation and the train going by that really just I don't know, it's very soothing.
And if there was just a nice table right in front of me with my computer right on top, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what comes of it. I haven't really thought I'm not going until end of January. Okay. I just got my final itinerary today.
Oh.
So it's sort of perfect.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. How does it work? Is it like a credit or is it a specific destination?
Yeah, you basically you look at what lines they have, you tell them where you want to go, when you want to go, how long you want to be there. And then you have a person who's collaborating with you to figure out your itinerary. So I had a couple back and forth. So I was first I don't really know any of these lines, I obsessively, it was for 3 hours, was looking at all the different lines and seeing where they go or how can I get the most out of this. But basically you can do up to 2 rides each way. So you can't just be okay, I'm gonna go here and then go here and then go here and then go here.
I'm doing a world tour. This is a really focused piece.
And then from there, they figure out what they can work in and plan it for sometime within the next year. So I chose January. I guess it's going to be cold, so I'll probably be really happy to escape and be doing something besides complaining about the cold. So
where are you going?
I'm going to San Francisco.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to Chicago and then San Francisco. So, and I asked to have a layover in Chicago. So I'll have a night in Chicago and then I'll have like 3 days in San Francisco.
That's cool.
So it's funny because it's so much of this is about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
But still, you know, I've never been to Chicago and I've never been to San Francisco. So I'm going to like knock 2 off my list
now
with
you
this.
get to go.
And there's great theater in Chicago. So hopefully I'll be able to go and see something cool while I'm there.
Definitely. That'll be great.
Yeah.
So when you're, so that's coming up.
Yeah.
So you've got some time.
Yeah.
So what's going on in your life in between now and then?
Well, my show, She Wore Those Shoes, is opening October 28th at the Iron Factory in North Philadelphia. Okay. Produced by Power Street, of course. And every show I've ever written, I've either been the writer and director or writer and actor or just like involved in some other way. This is the first time I'm just a playwright. Okay. So I'm letting go of the reins a little bit. And it's, you know, so I've only been going to a couple of the rehearsals or going towards the end just to say hi. Like let everyone know I'm there, you know, and I'm like here to support. But I've really just kind of like have given the reins over to the creative team. Yeah. And we have an amazing creative team. I mean, we've always worked with awesome people, but I think we're like working with some of the most amazing artists in Philly and diverse. We have every type of like ethnicity in our cast right now, and crew. So that's really amazing. Nice. Yeah.
So, what's it about?
She Wore Those Shoes is about a woman who goes to the military and is sexually assaulted, which is something that happens a lot. Yeah. I actually saw a documentary called The Invisible War on Netflix. I think it was on Netflix. And I remember clicking, I had some time. I clicked on this documentary, and it was like the moment after it was done, I was like, I have to write about this. Like, I need to delve into one of these characters. I need to make a play about this. And it sort of just started manifesting itself in my brain then. I just knew it. I was like, this is it. This is what my next play is going to be about. Because this rape culture is such a big problem just in society in general. And I think it's sort of something that's been nagging at me for a while that I've been wanting to write about. And sort of seeing it through the lens of the corruption in the military when it happens was like, okay, this is my angle. Yeah. I can take it from this angle, which is very specific, but it still very much speaks to the general problem within our culture. So, in the play, you know, she's recovering from what's happened. Her older brother is in the military. She joined because of him. She respects him a lot. He hasn't been the most supportive about what happened because he's very like, he doesn't know how to feel, you know, the military is his family. He's hearing this thing happen to her and he doesn't know where he lands on it. And for her, that's not good enough, obviously. So they're like really close and they have a lot of rifts. So it's about their relationship. So Gabby plays the main character, Judy, Gabriela Sanchez. And we have, Randy Nunez playing her brother. He just graduated from Tisch, in New York. So he's Dominican and I'm Dominican, and somehow we contacted each other. And right away I was like, I have a role for you in my play. I'm ready. You're ready? Okay, let's do it. And Asaki Kuruma plays Margaret, who's this like kooky, amazing, like receptionist of the halfway house. And she's really like the mama bear of all the girls who live there and stuff. And then Persephone is this a lady who lives at the transition home where Judy goes after, and she's played by Diana, who is like a member of Power Street. So, yeah. So.
Okay. So what was the rehearsal process like? When did you start writing this? When did you finish it?
Yeah.
When did you start rehearsing?
I finished writing it about this time last year. Okay. Probably like 2 weeks from now last year. And I started writing it probably about 6 months before that. So It's been about a year since it's been done. And then in March, I had a reading of it at Theater Exile. So that was really helpful. Deborah Block directed it, and she helped, and her and Brianne Barrett helped me a lot with the development of it. And I definitely tweaked some things since then, preparing it, you know, for full production. That was a great experience. But yeah, I finished writing it while I was actually dealing with a lot of really terrible health issues last year. So I finished writing it Well, I was in the hospital.
Oh.
And it was kind of like my escape.
Downtime.
My downtime at the hospital. But it was funny because like that day I was getting a surgery, and I knew that after I had that surgery, I would be out of commission for a few weeks.
Yeah.
So I was like, I have to finish it before I go into surgery. And it forced me. I think I wrote like the last 3 scenes like in my hospital bed, like and in a frenzy, like, like must finish writing this.
On one of the many podcasts I listen to, which I think is up to like 18.
Oh my God.
I don't know how I do it. One of the guests on the podcast said, a deadline focuses the lights. And when he said that, I was like, oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
That first play came out of me in less than a month because it was due. It was for a class. I mean, I wrote it in like, I had the ideas always there, but I really banged it out like in the lab at college in 3 weeks.
Like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it was also like I had to cast it as well and stage it. And I was like, look, I can't ask a ton of all of you. Yeah. So this is going to be script in hand. However, you're going to be comfortable with it. And I'm going to build all this around it so that, you know, this
so it doesn't even matter that you have scripts in hand.
I was like, just take your pieces. They're not going to be on scripts. They're going to be in like, you know, because they were open mic, so they could have their own notebooks, and that's actually where their script was. So it just sort of felt right. Nice. You know, it was
yeah. No, it's true. I mean, I honestly, it's one of the things I've really been trying to work on as a writer is like giving myself office hours and going, and usually like I can do it a little bit. Yeah. But for some reason it's true, like having a deadline of like I must finish this by now, and like that's the best way to get the work done. Sometimes I'll like right now I'm working on Las Mujeres. I know that the reading of it isn't going to happen until like spring of next year. Yeah. So sometimes I'll go to the lab and I'll spend 3 hours working on completely other things and then be like, oh, I didn't write. And it's not because I'm like not excited about writing it. It's just that there's something knowing like I have time. Yeah. Or like this feeling of like, I don't know, maybe new ideas will come to me when I know I only have 3 weeks to finish it. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
I have calendar events that say just writing. Yeah. And it's 2-hour blocks, 3 days a week. But then on Saturday, I think it's a 4-hour block. And the thing is, as long as I think about the writing, if I can get into my notes and add something there, job well done. Yeah, yeah. And that's it. Research. I'm just pushing myself to give a little bit to it. There's a book called, I think it's, actually the book's called, I think it's called like the Coffee Breaks Screenwriter or something like that. Oh. Where it's another podcast I listen to. Of basically, you know, she was talking about how, you know, you just have to sort of encourage yourself to take those moments. So the same way somebody will take a break, like a 15-minute break or a coffee break or smoke break. Actually, I did a ton of writing on the train when I worked out in Ardmore. Because that's about a 12-minute ride. So I had my podcast, my iPad, and I would write until I got to my stop. That's like 1,000 words.
Oh, good.
I was banging it out.
12 minutes at a time.
Yeah, once I got into the flow of it, I started writing all that, and that's when I started blogging on my site. And sometimes just writing that you're trying to figure something out gets that part out of the way so you can focus on what it is you're
trying to write. The free writing sometimes really helps you never realize like what you come up with, or just being like, I don't know what's going to happen when I get in front of this computer, but as long as I'm doing something towards this project or this play, then I'm doing something. Who is it? I think it's Kiara Alegria Hudis, who is like one of my favorite playwrights. Yeah. She says that research is like the best way to procrastinate.
Oh yeah.
So I'll be like, I have no idea what to write about today in this scene, so let me research this character. Let me research this event that's going to happen. Sometimes it helps though, you know. Like, it really gets your gears going in your brain so that you can sit down and write.
Well, it makes you think you're doing something, and it makes you feel not like actually doing anything. Done, And to be honest, if we think about it, you know, these stories are kind of like dreams. you know how when you're dreaming and you wake up, you might remember some of this. These are snippets. These are the most important moments. So just drop those in and then fill in the lines, you know, with this story, with all of these bits and what those bits kind of speak. And I don't mind the wait, because I'll explore something else about life that I can incorporate into something I had originally thought up like 6 months to a year ago.
You never know when you're planting a seed for something that you might not write today or tomorrow, but maybe 10 years from now. That could be great, you know? I love this saying. I hope like this doesn't make me sound too kooky, but basically, so back in the day, people used to say that if people who came up with something, I have time, okay?
Oh yeah, we're good.
Okay, people who came up with something like quote unquote genius, you know, something creative, they would say that they have a daemon, you know, like that, like Daemon.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea being like, oh, you have a daemon, and that means that that's like the spirit that's speaking to you to help you to create something.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is genius. So people say, oh, you have a genius. Like a genius is communicating with you to help you communicate what your thoughts. And over time, it became you are instead of have. And I really sometimes, you know, when you're in the shower and suddenly you're like, something pops into your mind. I think it's this sense of like meditation and relaxation that this quote unquote spirit is finally able to communicate with you. Yeah. And I have read an article once, I don't remember where it was now, I wish I did, but where a person was sort of referencing this, and I was like, oh, that's like my theory. And they said that it's so stressful sometimes when you're like, I have this story, and I need to write it. It's in my heart, it's in my mind, but I don't have time. Yeah. And I've been taking the time now to, if that happens, to just like stop, close my eyes, and like speak to my daemon and be like, okay, I hear you. I don't have time right now. Just come back when I'm ready. And that has relieved so much stress for me. Like, I can't even tell you, like, just speaking to this, like, fake spirit that I think exists. And being like, okay, just give me till, like, tomorrow when I'm in front of my computer. If you could visit me then, that would be great.
My daemon's name is Siri, and as long as Notes is open, she will capture everything I just said.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's true. I have, like, a file in my Google Docs that's, like, 70 pages long of just ideas of things that I want to write about. I don't even know when I don't think I have enough lifetime to write everything I want to write.
That's how I started it. I had one note called Writing Ideas.
That's great.
8 pages later, it was 8 pages long. I was like, you know, this is it's too jumbled. I don't even know how to make sense of it. So I started, every time I get an idea, it's a new note. And it starts with Writing Idea. And I just give it some titles so I can refresh my brain, or oh, that's where I went when I thought about that. And I can tell earlier on, I've been doing it since 2011.
Nice.
Yes. So I have all these ideas that were like, because sometimes, you know, I used to write poetry when I was in high school, and I had all these books from that. And I remember in the back, I would write the names of people I had met. And some sort of thing that would remind me of who they were. And I was like, I don't want to forget these. Somewhere down the road, these people are going to end up in these stories. and I can't forget these moments. Yeah. So, you know, I started doing that, and then I got a little bit better about the organizing. But that, in a sense, is my research, because there's no deadline attached to it for me.
It's just an accumulation of thoughts.
I know. So as soon as... The one thing I do miss about producing theater is that you would have to book the venue way out in advance. Yeah. Especially at Walnut Street, you book a year in advance. So once you book, the clock starts ticking.
Yeah, then you're like, so now I have to
give them an idea of what you plan to produce in there, and now you have a deadline. Yeah. So I need to do that again.
Yeah, that's the thing. Once you have the deadline, then you got to make it happen. Yep. You got to do something.
Or somebody should just give me some money, or give me access to a space.
That's the big one, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Give me money, give me space. I'll put something great in there, I promise.
I know. Don't worry about what I'm putting in there. It'll be fine. Yeah. Have you given any thought to what you'll be writing on the train ride?
I have so many different ideas. I mean, it'll be January, so my, Las Mujeres reading will be coming up in the spring, so I might work on that. I also just have, like, 2 other, like, really solid ideas, plays where I've, like, started creating outlines and doing research. So maybe I'll do that. I also really just kind of, like, want to write, like, without thinking about what I'm writing this for.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm kind of just not stressing about it. I'm not thinking about it right now. I know that when I'm there and when that desk is in front of me and that train is moving, that the writing will happen.
Yeah.
I have way too many different things that I could write about. I also have the idea to write, like, a children's play. Like, I work with kids, so I feel like that overlap needs to happen at some point. So
Great.
maybe that'll inspire me, or maybe I'll sit on that train and suddenly a whole new idea will pop into my mind, and in that case, I'll go with that.
The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, that's the great part about it. Plus, I'll be in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do when I get there. I don't even drive, but I guess I'll figure it out.
Now, there are a handful of other artists who have been picked for the residency.
Yeah.
Does Amtrak put you in contact with any of them?
Not really. No, I think that's one of the things. I mean, I read some of the, like, bios of some of the people on there, and I'm like, man, like,
there's filmmakers in there. There's writers.
Different types of artists. I would love to have some type of way, but they're also all from all over the country.
Yeah.
So it's not like we can be like, oh, let's have a coffee date in Philly, because people can't like just get here. But I don't know. I'm hoping that maybe as the program continues, they'll find ways of continuing to connect the artist. Or if I find out that somebody who's in it is in Chicago or San Francisco, I think I might take the initiative to be like, hey, let's meet up or whatever. But we'll see what comes of it. Hopefully, you never know what type of connections you can make.
Well, the good thing is you have their names, so you can Facebook them. Yeah. You can find them on Twitter.
Yeah, maybe. I definitely will probably be stalking a couple of people and be like, should we be friends? Cool.
Because you said you do some work with kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What sort of advice do you have for kids about, like, pursuing their artistic dreams?
Oh my gosh. Just do it. Just do it with everything you got, and don't be afraid, and be afraid but still do it. I don't know.
Fear is a good thing.
Theater is magic, is what it is. I worked at Camp Sojourner a couple of weeks ago, which is a week-long girls leadership overnight camp.
Oh, I did mean to ask you about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was I was teaching theater in the evenings for that, along with a million other things. But there was some of these girls were so young, like 8 years old, and their counselors had told me, like, good luck, like, she's going to be in your theater class. She doesn't even talk in the cabin. And then it was like crazy. The second we put a script in some of these little girls' hands, they were like, hello, how are you? Like, they came alive. And me and the other counselors who were teaching the class, like, were looking at each other with, like, a single tear rolling down.
Yes.
Wow. Like, it took less than 15 minutes for these kids to open up and start performing and to, like, be brave. And I was like, this needs to happen. Like, this little girl has been crying because she's homesick for 2 days straight. And now she's here in theater having a blast.
Now she's not going to want to leave.
She'll
be the last one off the bus.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just like, I don't know. Just do it. We need more artists. We need more people supporting artists. We need people to take art seriously. I think if more people in this world were writers and artists and creative in any type of way, that we wouldn't have as many problems as we do. Because
or we'd be able to shine a light on these problems.
Well, exactly. That's what it is. You can shine the light on things with your art in a way that is easier to sort of, like, grasp for people in a more emotional, visceral way. But yeah, I mean, it teaches you to be compassionate, and I think the society is lacking a lot of compassion. So, I wish that the arts would be taken more seriously in schools, and that it wasn't just math and science and reading and writing and all that stuff, which is all good stuff, of course. But if these kids don't know how to then turn that into something creative, it's like, I don't know. Anyway.
I just had a great interview earlier today, and we were talking about how we work so hard to polish the piece and deliver a finished product, and that's what we want everyone to see. We even spent a lot of time just trying to hide the work from everyone. Like, we didn't let you in on rehearsals before. Like, we don't don't take pictures of behind the scenes or anything like that. We have proscenium stages that block all of that stuff. But those are the things that make us want to continue doing this over and over again. And
it's the process.
Our podcast breaks the fourth wall to give you an inside look at the plays and the players. And I think that part is the part that influential people need to see, so that they can say, you know what, I get this now. I get it. And we can't let these arts go away.
No.
How do I get involved to figure out how to make arts more accessible to people, or this is doing a good thing? How do I continue to make sure this is doing a good thing?
The conversations that happen in a rehearsal space are some of the most difficult, informative, beautiful, just eye-opening conversations that you can have,
Especially when you're tackling tough issues in the play as well.
Exactly.
I mean, you might even need to take a break. Can we just take a moment to just process what we just
went through? One of the first
through?
things that we did on our first day of rehearsal for She Wore Those Shoes, considering that it deals with, rape culture, all these very triggering subjects, is we laid down the groundwork for rules of creating a safe space, if someone is triggered and needs to leave the space, what are the actual steps that we can all agree on, so that if someone feels some type of way and needs to breathe or to get away, they're not feeling embarrassed, or all the different things that you can feel if you're I'm disrupting the rehearsal process. We made it very clear from the first day, if you need to leave the space, And then we came up with okay, after 5 minutes, someone will go check on you. If you want to come back, you can decide if you want to debrief or if you want to just keep it to yourself. We came up with very specific steps for how to deal with these things. And if stuff like that existed in the other workspaces, oh, hi, we're all here in this accounting firm. How can we make this a safe space? Yeah. That doesn't happen, And then you have these toxic work environments.
Passive-aggressive comments.
Yeah.
Maybe someone would stop leaving empty, dirty dishes in the sink in the break room.
Yeah.
Stop eating my yogurt.
Is that a personal thing that you're
sharing? No,
okay.
I'm just... Our staff is really awesome here.
I'm glad. But anyway, I could go on for eternity talking about this, but I won't, talk your ear off about it.
Well, I definitely want to continue conversations with you. You definitely have to come back talk to us.
And I hope you have us, and
residency.
Gabby, I'm sure, would also.
Yes, I would love to. I would love to. Las Mujeres.
Yeah, that's happening next year.
Okay.
She Wore Those Shoes is the one that's happening in October.
Okay. And where were that? That's at the Iron...
At the Iron Factory.
The Iron Factory.
Yeah, that's on Fontaine Street, next to the North Square Neighborhood Project.
Okay.
It's opening October 28th. It's just running that weekend. I think there's going to be 5 performances that weekend.
All right.
It's going to be amazing. So I hope people come and
well,
and
we'll put a link to Power Street on the website along with your bio. And if you did not know Erlina, you now know her or a little bit more about her, and you should maintain an interest in the work that she produces and find out more about Power Street. Thank you for sharing with me today. Thank you for braving this obnoxious August.
Yes,
please.
I'm not going to complain about it. I refuse to complain about the heat because I complained enough about the cold. And
I know it's so funny. We get extremes because of where we are right now, and it's never just balance. On my way to work this morning, I was like, could it just stay like this all day?
Because it's so fresh at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yes,
it's beautiful.
Exactly.
And then by the time 12 hits, you're dying.
But the sun just wants to have fun. It's hey guys, what are you doing?
Yeah, I had a whole conversation. I had a whole conversation with the sun today. I was okay, we get it. You're very strong. You're very hot. We understand.
Somebody should write a play about how obnoxious the sun can be.
Yeah. Well, let's hope it just keeps on shining for us a while longer. That's all.
Well, it's a pleasure to talk to you and begin this conversation with you. And to be continued. So thank you for taking the time, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Want to get involved with Broad Street Review? Head on over to our website at www.broadstreetreview.com and click Get Involved at the top. While you're there, help keep us running and click Contribute to find out how. Connect with us on social media, on Facebook and Twitter at Broad Street Review.